107.7 The Bone, that is Pearl Jam with Better Man. I'm Nikki Black with the Better Man in the studio. That is Hэмmettom from Metallica. And you're really good at guitar, not so good at directions.
Yeah, I know.
It's okay. You're here now. That's the important thing.
Yeah, I was born in San Francisco, but that doesn't necessarily mean I know my way around San Francisco.
Well, and there's been a lot of construction over there, in all fairness.
There's been all these freeway on-ramps and off-ramps that have shown up in the city that I never even knew existed. So
Well, yeah, after that big earthquake in '89, they made some changes.
Yeah. How long ago was that? 50 years ago.
So speaking of San Francisco and upgrades, this benefit at the Balboa Theater on Thursday, is that the benefit? Is it also to contribute to upgrading them to full digital? I was trying to read to figure out what the benefit was.
Absolutely. They're going full digital. It's going to be a great thing. It's the tickets are also going to go to benefit the San Francisco Neighborhood Theater Foundation, which is a really great foundation that prevents gentrification of local San Francisco neighborhood theaters from becoming, whatever, Walgreens.
Cinema 6 and a Target in it, yeah.
Yeah, whatever, And so it's a really great cause that I personally believe in. And, I'm really psyched about it. It's a great cause, and it's a chance for me to, have fun with a couple of really great horror films or some of my personal favorites. And we're trying to create a great little event, and it should be fun. Post Halloween, I'm so into it.
Yeah, it's a nice way to extend Halloween just a little bit. It's like a creature feature. The two movies are The Black Cat and White Zombie. And how did you choose those two?
Well, The Black Cat, it's the Black Cat movie from 1934, starring Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and it's such a great, interesting movie. I mean, for a horror movie that came out in 1934, it's remarkably current in this day and age. There's a lot of great topics that this movie touches on, like Satanism, necrophilia, incest,
necrophilia,
mass
incest.
Murder. Yeah, all the good stuff. And this movie was made in 1934, and besides that, it also has two of my favorite actors of all time, Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff, and so I've been into this movie for a long time. And I just want to show people how great this movie is and how fun it is to see, and just how provocative it was in 1934, and how classic and timeless it seems currently now.
So you have such an extensive collection of horror memorabilia. Do you have anything from either of those two films?
My passion for these films knows no bounds. I'm being a big horror prop or movie prop collector. I had the opportunity to actually buy one of the costumes that Boris Karloff wore in The Black Cat, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, it came up for auction about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was stunned, and I was even more stunned when I actually was able to acquire it. And then about 10 months later, in a different auction, the actual vest and suit that Bela Lugosi wears in White Zombie came up for auction, and I was able to get that as well. And in the course of the year, I managed to pick up these great movie props from two of my greatest films, my all-time favorite films, and I was just so blown away. And so now that I own these props, I want to share them. I want to show them to people because they're so cool, and they have a certain energy that comes off of them, at least as I can imagine.
When you were here talking about Too Much Horror Business, the book that you released, you mentioned that you'd acquired a costume, and then the first thing you did was put it on.
Yeah.
Was it one of those?
Yes, it was the Black Cat costume, and can't help myself. Sometimes I'm prone to erratic behavior.
So this leads me to the Horror Festival that you're going to be having in February at the Regency in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to bring out the collection in all its glory, or are you still going to have to pick and choose pieces?
Well, yeah. It's called Fear Festival. It's going down February 6th to 8th at the Regency Ballroom here in San Francisco. And what is it's a vehicle for me to bring out my collection and display it for people, as well as invite a bunch of other guests, and basically it's a horror convention. I'm having my own horror convention, and
because why rent a room at Comic-Con when you could do an
you
entire
do it
building
myself.
here?
Yeah, exactly. And what happened? What happened was this all started with at the Orion Festival 2 years ago. I had my crypt, and what that was this place where I had a place where I had my collection on display, and it was so successful that I decided, well, I could probably do this in San Francisco and like have a lot more fun with it and expand on it and make it much more cooler. And basically, that's what Fear Festival is. And yeah, I'm bringing out my collection. I'm bringing out a bunch of horror movie guests or people who are associated with the horror genre. Tom Savini, Greg Nicotero, who is the executive producer of Walking Dead, he's going to show up. Tom Savini being like a makeup artist who's legendary, and also I'm inviting a bunch of rock and roll people who are way into horror, who are fellow collectors like I am, like Slash, also Scott Ian. We're having a bunch of guests like PJ Souls,
Which I am beyond excited about.
yeah, who was in the original Halloween,
And Rock and Roll High School.
and Rock and Roll High School. I mean, we're having tons of different people coming in. We're also gonna have some music. It's going to be an all-day affair, but it's also going to go into the evening as well. We're going to have live music like Death Angel and Orchid, and also one other band.
Do you want to announce? Let's take a break, and we'll announce them in a little bit.
Sure,
How's
okay,
that?
let's do that.
Because
All right.
there's so much to talk about with the Horror Fest.
right.
It's officially Horror Festival, right?
Fear Festival is
Festival?
what we're calling it. Yeah.
Okay. We'll come back with more of that and Kirk Hammett on 107.7 The Bone.
Cheers.
107.7 The Bone. That is Lenny Kravitz, and Are You Gonna Go My Way? I'm Nikki Black. Kirk Hammett's in the studio with me tonight to talk about a lot of stuff. You are so busy right now. Let's see. We've got the benefit on Thursday at the Balboa Theater, which is a double feature of White Zombie and the Black Cat, and you can pick up those tickets at...
Yes, cinemasf.com.
Bam. And that is this Thursday, people. It's a benefit, so, spend a little extra on your ticket. It's not that much. The tickets are either $35 or $150, and the $150 ticket, I believe, comes with a movie poster and a meet and greet with you, and
Yes,
you will
absolutely.
autograph the poster.
Yes, special VIP ticket.
Excellent. And then $35 just to see the regular double feature, as well as, help benefit the Theater Association, so that's extra cool. And then...
Yeah, and also... I'm also going to be introducing the films with Bela Lugosi Jr., which is going to be cool. And we're going to be giving a brief chat and introduction to each film.
And he's also part of the Horror Festival, right?
Yes.
Fear Festival. I keep saying horror, but
Yeah,
it's Fear Festival.
Fear Festival. Bela Lugosi Jr. is just like such a great guy, and he looks just like his father. And it's a real honor for me to be able to include him and all this stuff, as well as in the past, Sarah Karloff and also Ron Chaney too, as well, who are the respective offsprings of Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff, and Lon Chaney.
Which is kind of like horror movie royalty of years past. I mean, all the big original horror genres.
Yeah, for the classic horror movies that came out in the 30s and 40s, which I am a big fan of. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love contemporary horror movies and everything in between. But those old classic horror movies, they just I have such a passion for them. It's really crazy. I just love them.
Horror seemed like it took kind of a back burner in the 50s and maybe in the 60s, but then super resurgence 70s, 80s, and kind of hasn't stopped since, I think.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. In the '60s, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was like the whole like hippie movement, or maybe it was the Cold War. I don't know.
Communist scare.
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
Communists watch Satanist movies.
Yeah, there was a lot of great stuff coming out of England with Hammer films, but other than that, the '60s were pretty high and dry. Though I mean, there are a lot of great films that were made during then. Stuff like Rosemary's Baby and just name off one. But I mean, the stuff in the '30s and '40s, that's my most favorite.